So, throughout the years, there's been numerous examples of television networks as well as time blocks that were designed specifically to appeal to the children's demographic. Now, with that being stated, some of them did execute well, such as ABC Family, Pix 11 Kids, or even more so on the network side, we could talk about Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Boomerang, Disney Channel, etc., etc. But with that being stated, there's one network in specific that always goes under the radar, if you will, and that network is known as Qubo. Qubo was specifically a children's network, kind of between the age ranges of 5 to 14, you could say. I mean, that's what it says on the website. And it had a runtime of a little bit over 14 years, starting January 8th, the day, kind of like a day before my birthday, 2007, and then going forth all the way until T21. And while this won't be a video going deep into the history of Qubo, it's more so to shed a little bit of light of the network that was more so, in my opinion, very underrated. Now, some of the classics that I enjoyed when I was watching or indulging within the content over at Qubo would be, first off on my list, and this is absolutely my favorite, Jane and the Dragon. It's like a prequel, I think it is, like a prequel to what's that Disney movie, Brave? Really, it kind of set the stone with its animations. And despite its short run, I mean, Jane and the Dragon, the voice acting was perfect. It was phenomenal. The animation, it was very relaxing. It wasn't perfect, especially for its time period, but it was very relaxing. And it felt like it flowed really well, especially with the way that they designed Jane as her character, and then like the hair follicles for all characters, it was just on point. So honestly, Jane and Dragon, including the plot, I can't forget the plot. It was a phenomenal show. Jacob Tutu, I would kind of say this show is like Johnny Test mixed with Lincoln from Loud House, and then with a little sprinkle of like Jake Long. That's like the best way I could really describe the show's, let's say, aura. It wasn't the highest in terms of my favorites, but it was on that list. Marvin the Tap Dancing Horse. Ah man, this was I just have a question. It was a good show, but I just have a question. Where do you get the concept of a tap dancing horse? Bad Bar, a very popular children's show. Starting from what? I think it was between the 80s and the 90s, and then going forth until maybe around 2010 in terms of like the popularity range. And that's pretty good. For a children's network, that's pretty good. For a children's show to remain in the realm of public eye, that's pretty good right there. Zula Patrol. This show was really like a mix of like Cyber Chase and Team Umizoomi, but obviously it came before, Team Umizoomi. Cyber Chase, I'm not too sure about that time frame. That used to be one of my favorite shows on PBS, but we'll do a PBS video at a later date. The Magic School Bus. Now, this was one of the prominent shows that I used to watch on Qubo, and I guess the main thing I could say I took away from that show was that Miss Frizzle should be locked up for child endangerment. Sheldon. Now, this was the first Qubo show I ever watched. I mean, I turned to the network, and before this little history, this is back in the day. Y'all wouldn't know about this, y'all youngins, So I got put y'all on the game. So back in the day, we used to have these, and they still sell them at I think like Best Buy and certain retailers. They used to have these cable boxes, satellite boxes, where it's like it wasn't cable. It was just straight satellite with the antenna. You know what I'm saying? And if the antenna, it ain't situated correctly, you just ain't watching TV. I turned to Qubo one time, I think it was like channel 34 or 43, something like that. And hey, going from there, I was watching Qubo for, maybe like into my early teens. But Sheldon was pretty good. I don't really have a show I could really compare it to, but overall, it was a nice, full-fledged, fleshed out show. Pippi Longstocking. Now, do you see a trend here? What is it that they have against redheads? Like, hear me out. Why are redheads so aggressive in terms of their stereotype? Like Pippi Longstocking, I mean, Miss Frizzle, Jane the Dragon, they all got that adventurous aspect, or that hard-hitting, this is a crazy stereotype. But Pippi Longstocking's another legendary show, just like Bad Bar. It had a good long run time, and when it came to books, when it came to television shows, I mean, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It reminded me like a female Peter Pan. It gave me that aspect. Willow's Wildlife. I know I watched this show. I know I did, though I don't recall too much about this show. honestly, yeah, I can't say I do, but I do recall enjoying the show. For I think the 1 or 2 episodes that I might have peeped it. He-Man. Now let me talk to y'all. Let me bring it a little closer. Let me talk to y'all. I don't know if I really felt like that should have been on Qubo, but nevertheless, it was a great show. It's a phenomenal show. Now, at the time I found it to be boring, but as you grow older, you develop a certain type of intake when it comes to certain content, like King of the Hill. That wasn't on Qubo. Let me clarify, that wasn't on Qubo. But when it came to King of the Hill, it's like I used to find that to be the most boring show ever. And then I grew older, and my view on it changed. It was for mature audiences, and yeah, you definitely understand that sense when you get there. And the last show I mentioned is Turbo Dogs. Turbo Dogs, it had that back in the barnyard aspect. It was just, it was really, you gotta wonder what is it that the writers think in the room when they're thinking, like, when you're really pitching the ideas of the show and things like that. Do you ever think to yourself, we're having dogs built similarly to human hybrids driving vehicles in a racing sport? That's such good shit. So that was another great show. I enjoyed that, but man, I couldn't get past that back in the barnyard comparison. It wasn't in terms of the comedy, but more so in the terms of just the animation style and things of that nature. And you know what? Maybe the developers were from a similar studio or yada yada yada. I don't know, bro. Now, unfortunately, the Qubo network did shut down, as I mentioned previously, 3 years ago. So due to it being what was deemed as non-profitable no longer, it was just time to close its doors. And that's the case scenario with that. However, if you want, I know at least for Jade and Dragon, there's other shows. I think maybe Sheldon. They should have a couple of shows on Tubi if you would like to check them out. Give an episode a watch. And in terms of the shows I mentioned today, or if you would like me to do a little bit of a dive into those shows, or even a network or whatever video, what have you, you can just drop it in the comment section below and we can take it from there. So, it's been King Jay.T with another one. I appreciate you. I hope you're having a great day, great night, great afternoon. What other time to the day? We're just gonna keep. And without further ado, peace.